have you back. You're still watching Nigeria Decides, and now conversations are taking a new focus in the just concluded press briefing by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, said, and I quote, "We will continue to do all we can in line with the stipulations of the law and due process."
And he also said, definitely we're going to be looking at the information shared at the briefing. Well, this conversation will be on what the chairman of INEC said at today's briefing at 3 p.m. on national television. And joining us now is Bernard Oniga. He is a legal practitioner as well as the convener, Citizens Manifesto. Thank you so much, Bernard, for joining us. And we have back with us Martins Lomba. He is a political analyst. Thank you so much, Martins.
My pleasure.
Now let us kickstart. We heard the chairman of INEC, and for 3 days running, he has been on national TV giving us up-to-date information on what INEC is doing. In fact, on Saturday, they came up with a lineup of activities for each day leading up to Saturday. How would you assess INEC's proactive step to ensure that they deliver on their mandate on Saturday?
I think that the effort by INEC as an institution and the chairman is to build confidence and reassure the citizens and the international community that they are on top of this particular challenge that we experienced on Saturday. I think that basically is the essence for all of these measures. Listening to him today, one has the conviction that he's quite a brilliant professor. Apparently, maybe some of the challenges that the institution has been facing may not be connected with him as a person. Perhaps other people, perhaps sabotage and what have you. So he came across as someone who is very determined and who can deliver. However, the issue is probably that what they have, is it really watertight? I know that somebody asked a question that with all you have done so far, are you guaranteeing? Someone said something about your ICT infrastructure, and he said that he trusts that they are going to run all of their, results compilation manually, that the ICT system will be probably off, what's the word he used now, that they will be offline. So that if they are offline, chances are you will not be able to interfere or manipulate. But again, that does not really satisfy some of us that are very critical of, how the whole thing has been shoddy so far.
Now, Bernard, we know, of course, that one of the things he mentioned was that we achieved 95% configuration of the smart card readers yesterday, that's on Tuesday, and that by today, we have 100% configuration of the smart card readers. Now, what does that say again about what INEC is doing proactively to ensure that Saturday happens?
All right, so the INEC chairman, based on the unfortunate postponement on Saturday, decided, which is commendable, to undertake a daily briefing as to the preparedness of INEC for the elections coming on Saturday. Like Mr. Lomba has said, it is highly commendable. However, even though we are looking at the future, we are looking at the 23rd, I would still like to comment on the reasons of the postponement of last Saturday's election, in which the INEC chairman said were based on logistical issues. He did not come out to tell us the aspect of in or off logistics that was the reason for the postponement of that elections. Were the airstrips not open or the airways not open? The airlines that were supposed to deliver materials, you see that they were not available, or there were no sufficient planes available to route the entire airports in the country.
His excuse was that there was bad weather, but moving away from whatever might have happened to or led to the postponement on Saturday. Well, it says so far now we already have 10 states that have already gotten, that have the deployment of the sensitive materials.
To the local government.
Yes, to the local government areas. We have 10 states: Anambra, Adamawa, Benue, Ekiti, Jigawa, Katsina, Ogun, Osun, Oyo, and Taraba states. They've already had a movement to the local government areas today, and the rest are expected tomorrow.
Very well.
Do you think INEC will be able to achieve this?
Well, even though and although I would say election is not an academic exercise in itself, and even though the man we have up there is a professor,
no, but I haven't been able to achieve 10 out of 36 by tomorrow. Do you expect the remaining 2/3 to be covered?
I do not see any reason whatsoever on earth why INEC would not be able to meet up in terms of logistics or in terms of delivery of materials or in whatsoever level of preparation for us to have a free, fair and credible process on Saturday. I want to believe that by virtue of the postponement, it gives INEC enough time to even supersede whatsoever it is it intended at achieving last Saturday. So we should see INEC at its very best. I repeat, very best on Saturday. Let me commend INEC on this particular arrangement for people with disability. Those of us in the civil society have always called on INEC to take such persons into consideration, people with special needs, as we call them. We rarely take them into consideration, even in the way and manner we build. If you go to a bank in Nigeria, you would not see provisions made for people with disability to go in through, and public institutions as a whole. And so we have always, during the Oshun election, I remember very well too, I tweeted to INEC pictures and photos and to show them what persons rather with disability were going through in an attempt to vote. I'm glad that INEC has heeded to the call to do, or rather take actions about this. And I would say it is very commendable. And I will also say for every other Nigerian out there, we could also take it a step further by assisting them. Some persons are blind and they want to vote. So we could also be a brother's keeper. We could show them the way and help them.
No, there are INEC officials who will do that, not just the lay Nigerian. But I would like to also have your thoughts as well. One other issue that raised this ugly head was the fact that there was a question thrown and an allegation that INEC was served for having to interrogate into the spending of the APC and PDP, which is supposedly said to have passed the threshold of 1 billion naira spending on campaigns and other electoral activities. But his response was that how did this individual even know what was the spending? And INEC has not been served any order from the court to explain itself. But first and foremost, how do you know what the APC has spent or the PDP has spent?
That is evidence.
Okay, all right. Now, part of INEC's responsibility is not just the conduct of elections, but also to look at the expenses of political parties. Of course, you would agree with me that our political process has been highly monetized, and it is not good enough for a developing democracy like Nigeria. It is the reason why people go on the street with guns and bringing about violence, because they have been paid. People don't just go about doing this thing freely, So it is important that we check the expenses of our political parties so as to maintain some sanity in the electoral process, because it is absolutely important.
Well, you can't check it if the political parties have not revealed all of those details. INEC hasn't even been served.
Of course. I like the fact that INEC is going by the books. It is important. They might be slow about it, but it is better to be slow than to rush in a haste to rail out figures which are not true. And so what I believe is that there are penalties for going beyond these limits. And so even if you go beyond it and INEC discovers it after the elections, you would still suffer the consequences or pay the penalties. So I think INEC is in line with that.
Now, Martins, this is just 2 days before the election. Have you seen any increase in political activity or campaigns just a few hours to the election, or is there anything unusual that you're noticing? I want you to marry that with responding to the role of political parties and other stakeholders in assisting INEC to prepare very well for this election on Saturday.
Well, the truth is that a lot is happening behind the scenes, so to say, on the ground, so to say, neighbor to neighbor outreaches, faith-based organizations. A lot is happening, and that is quite encouraging, so to say. We don't have to look at the bleak side all of the time. The truth is there's some positive development within our electoral process, within our democratic culture, and that is really, really encouraging. Having said that, I want to believe that between now and Saturday, a lot more will happen. By that I mean that the consciousness level will be, much higher than we have now. I know, of course, that ABC Transport has, I don't know if I have the right to mention the name, but they have, sorry about that. Some transporters, some transport companies have reduced their rates, and of course, IPMAN too, the independent petroleum marketers, they have also said that the pump price of petrol should go down.
So essentially, stakeholders are coming together.
Yes, they are trying to see how they can contribute to the process. Wonderful, very beautiful development.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure a lot more people will do other things between now and Saturday.